Everybody has been to the grocery store and seen the little old lady pushing her cart like this. This segment is to make sure that you are not that little old lady, and if you are, that we can get you straightened out so that you look a lot better. Your posture is the most important thing that you have control over in terms of pain and degeneration. It does require that you pay attention to it and to do a couple of simple exercises, but it's nothing that takes that long. Now, your posture actually starts from when you were a baby. When you're a baby, you develop this beautiful curve in your neck and this curve in your lower back in the lumbar spine by crawling. So the more you crawl, you develop what's called a cross-crawl pattern, where babies will go like this with their hands and their feet. In doing that with the cross-crawl pattern, you pick your head up, and that's how you develop this curve. Now, some babies, they literally go from being in a cradle to walking, or mom and dad like to help them walk. The first thing you can do for your child, let them crawl, because they're developing these curves. Now, if you're a baby like me, where you literally just went from lying there to walking, you didn't develop those curves as well. So there's some exercises you can do. But really, you need that cervical curve and you need that lumbar curve. If you didn't develop them as a child, that's okay. We'll work on them now. Now over here is our patient. We're going to look at what her posture is so that you can look at what your posture is at home. Go ahead and stand up for me. Okay, so the first thing you do is when she stands, you look straight ahead. The first thing you do is you look straight at her head. Does she have a head tilt? And when we look at her, her head is on pretty straight, so that's pretty good right there. Some people, you'll notice they have a head tilt to the right or they'll have a head tilt to the left. That immediately tells you where in the spine is out of alignment. So if their head is tilted to the left, the atlas, which is responsible for 30 to 40% of the neck's rotation, is also tilted to the left. You straighten that out, you straighten out their head. Now, once we've looked at her head, now we look at her shoulders. Her shoulders are actually rounded forward, and you can see that quite well when we turn her to the side. And you can see that instead of being way back here, they're rounded forward like this. Now, let's bring her back this way. Now, when you're looking at her alignment head on, so if you were to look at her, her shoulders are very even compared to most people. Her left shoulder is slightly higher, but just a very little bit. Everyone's going to have a slight bit of asymmetry to them. Nobody is going to be perfectly symmetrical. As long as they're within 1 to 3 inches, you're okay. But once somebody becomes lopsided like this, then you're in trouble. That lets you know that they're going to have an asymmetry right there that you need to address. So if you're going to look at your symmetry, let's turn you sideways again, what you need to know, the middle of the ear needs to line up with the middle of the shoulder. In her case, it doesn't do that. She has what's called anterior head carriage. Her head is moved forward. Because of that, her shoulders are always going to be tight right in here. Her neck muscles are going to be tight here because these are compressed and these are stretched. Now, the other thing you should know is that women in general have a tendency to roll their shoulders forward because you have 3 sets of internal rotators. You only have 1 set of external rotators. So that's going to be one of the 3 exercises you learn today. Now, after you look at the middle of her ear to the middle of her shoulder, the middle of her shoulder should line up with the middle of her hip. She does okay there. Middle of her hip should line up to a bone right here called the lateral malleolus. It's a little bump on the outside of her foot that you'll all know about. And that's how you can see someone's posture. So wherever someone doesn't fit that line, you know that's where their asymmetry is. So we're going to start with her shoulders. Go ahead and lie on your back. Now for shoulders, you can do this stretch or you can have someone do the stretch for you. All you're going to do, if someone can do it for you, you just put your arm over a table. You feel a little stretch in there? Mm-hmm. And you don't want to go crazy. As long as they feel a little stretch, that's all you need. More is not better, especially when someone's above the age of 30. Once you go above the age of 30, you're less elastic. So a little stretch can feel a lot more than it really would be on someone younger. And you breathe for me. You yourself have a tendency to hold their breath when you're stretching. Worst thing you can do. Physiologically, every time you breathe, the muscle relaxes more. Good. And if you stretch one thing, you have to stretch the other side. So just for purposes of demonstration, I'm not going to do a whole 30 seconds, but I will show you how this stretch is done. Now, if you don't have someone to stretch you, all you have to do is find a door jamb, and you can do the same stretch by yourself. And what you'll do is imagine this is my door jamb right here. You stand like this, and you turn. You'll feel a little stretch. Hold that for 30 seconds. Put your arm up a little bit higher, turn again, you'll feel more of a stretch. Put your hand up even higher, and you'll feel a huge stretch. Okay. So that will help you if your shoulders are rounded forward. Now, the most important stretch that I find for people who sit for a long time is their hip flexors. Your hip flexors are right here. They actually start about an inch below your belly button, deep to it, and then they go all the way down. So anyone who's seated for a while, they shorten up. So you want to do a hip flexor stretch on yourself as well. A really good way to do hip flexors is you put one foot forward, and then you lean the other leg, the one that's straight, and you lean it forward so that this hip gets a good stretch in it. That's very, very important for anybody who's seated for a long period of time. And again, hold it for 30 seconds, switch to the other side. Over time, you'll notice that one is a lot looser than the other. Whichever one is tighter, stretch that one 2 times more. Now, go ahead and sit up for me again. Now, it's very important when you talk about posture, not just to look at stretches. You want to look at what are you doing every day. There's something called microtrauma. Microtrauma is just little motions you do, microscopic motions you do that affect your posture every day. So, for example, if she were to just roll her shoulders forward every day, all day, those ligaments stretch and they're going to stay like that. So what you want to do, just roll your shoulders forward and down, or back and down actually. Roll them again. And that will help her. Anyone who feels like their shoulders are forward, a really good thing for you to do, put your arms straight out and just retract your shoulders. Perfect. Put your arms out again. Now, pull them back and down. Good. When you do that, the tops of the shoulders should be nice and loose. Go ahead and put your arms down. Okay. So in terms of posture, all you have to do is a hip flexor stretch or a stretch of the shoulders, and you'll already notice a change. The last thing, and probably the most comical thing, is the way people sit. Doesn't matter how skinny you are, everybody still has a butt. And your butt still jiggles around. It doesn't matter how tiny you are. So when you sit, very, very discreetly, you literally just move your cheeks out of the way. You will sit directly on the bone underneath it instead of wobbling around. So if you want perfect posture and you want to do things on your own, first thing you want to do, watch the way you sit all day. Second thing you do a hip flexor stretch or do a shoulder stretch. And third, go see your chiropractor.